Are there any drummers in the house?
I play percussion. That's because you couldn't play anything else.
Shut up. Come here, dude.
Hey, man. Did you touch my drum set? I am warning you right now, if you touch my drum, I will stab you in the neck with a knife. Not quite my tempo. It's all good. No worries. Here we go.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Drumheads. My name is Daniel, and you're probably like, where have you been, Daniel? I've been on hiatus, so I took a little bit of a timeout of the podcast and the show, so I'm back, and I just wanted to give you guys kind of an update of what's going on and all that fun stuff. So, it's been a almost 4-month hiatus from actually doing a podcast itself, and this was my choosing. I just started a new position at my job. It's a lot harder than I thought it would be, and I could not focus on my work, my family life, playing drums, and doing this show. So one thing had to be put on hold, and so naturally it was the show itself. So I just could not focus. I was stressed on providing content, and it was so hard for me to focus. So after talking to my wife, I thought maybe taking a hiatus from social media, the podcast, the show, all of it, just nothing. And it was great. It was a great month to kind of just not be on social media worrying about, oh, I've got to post this, I got to write this person back, blah, 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 blah. It was all just wearing down on me. So it was nice. And then so I kind of jumped back in. I actually did a podcast with somebody else that lives here in Asheville. What's up, Dan? How are you? Dan Radin from Drum Showroom was kind enough to invite me on to kind of talk about what was going on. And because I'm very open about my mental health. If you're a long-time listener, you know that I've struggled with depression and anxiety most of my life. I know my adult life for sure. So I was on that, and then I worked in doing, Instagram stuff and other things like that. So, but the podcast, I was like, oh, I still like I'm not ready to do it. So I figured when the time was right, it would be the right time to do it. So let me fast forward you to what's happening right now. So my wife and I, we'll talk at dinner. We'll talk about ideas because we want the show to be accessible to everybody, and we also, reality is, it costs a lot of money, and we don't want to put ourselves into a financial situation where we're having to pay out a ton of money each month for free content, and it's not me trying to be selfish or me trying to make a bunch of money or anything like that. It's just the reality of the situation, which was things were tight. Things are still tight. So maybe cutting out this expense for a little bit would work, but then we're like, we knew there was something there. So after talking to my wife, I'm like, I need to find an intern. I need to find this. And, I've had some wonderful people help me out, but it was hard for multiple reasons. I don't see this person. I've never met them. I'm going based off my interactions with them over a phone call or a text message or an email. But to have that face-to-face contact was hard. It's hard to kind of relinquish your show to somebody else, when it comes to the background stuff. So my wife's like, well, I could help. And, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. You're here. I see you every day. We talk, and let's make this a family thing. Let's make this something that's a collaboration between me and my wife, and then, the kids get involved sometimes. So it made sense. And so she started, she's like, well, here, give me a list of people. I'll write the messages and see about, because it's very hard for me to send emails with my dyslexia. I feel stressed out about that. So I'm like, are they gonna take this the wrong way if I leave out words? Am I gonna blow a potential, business deal, or not even a business deal? It's like, hey, we'd love to review your stuff, and I don't want any of that to get lost in translation with my dyslexia. So my wife doesn't have it. She's a pretty good writer. So she's been writing all these companies, and it's been like, whoosh, all these companies are like wanting to send products, which is great. I mean, I'm actually using a brand new podcasting mic, which is awesome. Samson sent me out my wife had sent them a message like, hey, we're a podcast, we're a show. And they're like, yeah, let's send you a mic out. Do you need some drum mics? Do you need a podcasting mic? We're like, well, we kind of have all your mics already, because I have their mic set for my drums. I have the little Meteor microphone for when I would do recordings of podcasts and whatnot. They're like, well, we'll send you this, and they surprised me. It's like a brand new out of the box Samson G-Track Pro, and it's like a nice condenser microphone that picks up the room. You can actually hear crickets in the background because I'm out in the shed/studio. So it's like mwah, high quality. So that was kind of like, all right, now it's time to get back into it. And we're going to do it on my schedule. We're not going to do it on a timetable. If we get a podcast recorded that week, that's great. If we don't, we don't. It's not the end of the world. And also, we just wanted to branch out. We wanted to do more videos. We wanted to do more reviews. Now I feel like we're at the point in time where we can actually do reviews honestly, objectively, and have the technology there to capture it. And so, again, we're still, money is not, it's tight, like I said, but, we're always looking for help. So we've come up with some ideas. So the idea we're doing right now is not each month, every other month, we're going to do a raffle giveaway of some awesome gear. So let me just tell you about that real quick. So we hit 70,000 followers on Instagram, which is like, whoa, this is insane. So we put together a raffle giveaway. So you're probably like, well, why a raffle? Well, the money that comes in from the raffle will help the show. And you've noticed I'm not saying podcast, I'm saying the show. It's just the Drumheads. And it's a show because it's more than just a podcast. It's Instagram, it's Facebook, it's YouTube, Twitter, it's especially Instagram. That's our big platform. So we hit this milestone. So we're actually going to be giving away a lot of great stuff. So let me just go down the line. So we've got 3 pairs of drumsticks from Innovation Percussion. They kind of jumped on board and helped with getting some sticks and stuff like that to review. 2 shakers from Index Drums. I'm going to actually shake one for you. Then we got some drum skins from Visionary Drum, which is great. We had Justin. I think it's Justin. Sorry if it's not. From Visionary Drum a while back, and just talking about his drum skins. So he's sent out some drum skins to give away. We got some Ching ring, which is from Kepler Drums, and it's that's that little thing you see on people's like hi-hats or rides. It's like a tambourine, but this is like handmade, custom, really cool. Then we got a bass drum beater from Ninja Kick Percussion. It's the spring-loaded bass drum beater, so that's cool. We got a set of booty shakers and little booty shakers from TNR Products. We got one weighted kick pillow from Kick Pro Pillow. So it's pretty much just like it's a pillow that you'd put in your bass drum. It's black. It's got a slide-resistant bottom, so it doesn't like move around your kick. So just to have that weighted pillow. Then we got a t-shirt from Roland Drums. It says V Drums on it. Pretty cool. And then we got a stick bag from Trek Bags, which is from the UK. All of that you can win. It's like over a $500 raffle giveaway. $3 a ticket, and you can buy as many tickets as you want. So more tickets you buy, the more chances you have of winning. So again, this is to help the show. This is not for us to get rich, because that's what we're in it for. We're just trying to cover our costs. That's the biggest thing. We got to cover the costs. So anyways, so back to what's going on. So my wife's helping me. We're working we're working with people. We're working with companies, all to join in onto this, show. But what I really wanted to talk about was, I don't think I've ever really got into like an in-depth kind of thing about how this podcast started, or the show. I'm sorry. When I say it sometimes, so I've said it so many times that it's hard to not say it. So how I started the show. So let me go back and take you to 2014. So I started the show back in the fall of 2014, but before that, spring and summer, I was laid out with a back injury from work, and I was picking up a really heavy tank, threw out my back, and so I had to go through physical therapy. I couldn't play drums for like maybe more than 5 minutes. My back would just kill me, and my depression started coming back. And because I didn't know where I was fitting into this world as a drummer. You know, I love being a husband. I love being a father. I don't want to travel. I don't want to be gone from my family for extended amounts of time. It's just something I can't do. And my wife and I, you know, we've talked about it. It's something neither of us want. You know, she doesn't want me gone. I don't want to go out. You know, it's fine to go out for the weekends. You know, sometimes I go out of town for work. That's no biggie. But like extended amount of times. So, but I was like, where is my place in all this? Where do I fit into this equation? At that point, I was 30, and, you know, my health was not good because of the back injury, which, you know, when you can't move really good, you start becoming a little overweight. So I was like self-conscious about that. And, you know, I just didn't know. I could not find my place in all that because, you know, I'm a drummer and I want to play drums, but when you can't, it's like, you know, my biggest fear, and that's why I stopped skateboarding, because I broke my wrist. I broke my right wrist when I was in 8th grade from a skateboarding accident, and that's like, I couldn't play drums for, I think it's about 6 to 8 weeks. And so not having that ability, just that short amount of time was like, oh, it was like excruciating, because as much as I liked skateboarding, I really like to play drums. So if like everything I look at, you know, will this affect my ability not to play drums if I get hurt, you know, and all that. So when I got hurt with the back injury, you know, you don't realize how important your back muscles are. You know, we almost kind of take them for granted because they do a lot of work that you don't realize they're doing. So to like it's just an excruciating amount of pain. Just like, it just felt like someone was like taking a sharp object that was kind of blunt and just stick it in your back and just like, and it would stay there all the time. And combination of it was driving all the time for work, being in a van for 6 hours of a 8-hour day, you know, and so you're not mobile, and then you go from sitting to really extraneous work. So, you know, it's hard. So, but anyways, I just got depressed. I just could not get out of this funk, and I've been toiling around with an idea of a podcast. What do I talk about? What do I want to do? What is my point of view? I'm like, what do I want to do on movies? No, there's a lot of movie ones. Do I want to talk about politics? It's a hard topic. Maybe. I know. Let's talk about music. Well, that's too broad because there's so much music. Okay, got it. Drums. I know drums. That's my thing. So I'm like, all right, we're going to do a drum podcast. Because I had been driving for years, listening to podcasts, but I never found a drumming podcast that really stood out to me, that really resonated with me. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to start a show. And the name came about actually from listening to a podcast. I still am a big fan of Bill Burr's Morning Monday podcast. And he's a drummer. He's an amateur drummer. And he would always say he'd have some guests on sometimes, and he'd have some unknown drummers. You know, he had like, you know, not mainstream, but he had the drummer from Stevie Ray Vaughan on. And the way he introed that podcast was saying, hey, this is for all you drum heads out there. And that just stuck with me. You know, you drum heads, the drum heads. And, you know, it's a term that some people are familiar with, some aren't. And it's a term to say, I'm a drumhead. You know, I'm a drum kind of guy. I love talking about drums, gear, drummers, music, anything that's drum related, like to talk about it. So I'm like, all right, so that's my show name right there, the Drumheads. And so I'm like, all right, well, let's figure this out. So, looking through, you know, the internet, I see that OER is coming to town. Chris Coulis is a drummer that I've been a fan of for a long time. And I'm like, all right, let's see if we can have him on the podcast. I'll write him on, I think I wrote him on Twitter. It wasn't actually Instagram. So I wrote him on Twitter saying, like, I was thinking, oh, no, he's not going to want to do it. He's going to, like, yeah, whatever. But no, he surprised me with the message. Yeah, let's do this. I'm like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to figure this out. So the process of figuring out the show and how to record and all that stuff was a stretch. It took me a long time to kind of figure out like balances and like how to do things and not try to say or so much. Still hard. It is what it is. So, but back to the depression. So my depression started when I was 18. I was always an anxious child. I was always very if I wasn't familiar with the surroundings, I felt like, I don't know, like the room just kind of shrank in on me. And I didn't, at that point, it wasn't when I was little. I didn't play drums, but if I didn't have something that was in like my comfort zone, I just didn't know what to do. And then I was super self-conscious about my dyslexia, which I did not know I had. I just knew that something wasn't getting from my brain, point A, to my hand, point B. Something was getting mixed up in the process. But I spent all of my time in grade school, middle school, high school. I felt like an outsider because I was treated like one. Because being dyslexic, you read things backwards, you see numbers that are not there, letters are not there, you miss out complete words. It's really hard to explain. And, you've probably noticed sometimes on social media, I'll say something and it won't quite make sense, and I'll have to, oh, crap, go back. All right, fix that. But as a kid, I was like just super self-conscious about it. So I didn't say a lot because I was afraid of what somebody might say to me. And like spelling on a chalkboard or, standing up and spelling out a word. I could not do it. And it just like I would always be in such like stomach pains because I'm like, please don't ask me. Oh, crap. I can't do it. And, and then so the teacher or teachers would always have a comment like, oh, well, why can't you do it? Does this not make sense? We've done this, 8 times. Everyone else has got it. For some reason you're not getting them. And, you try to say, it just something doesn't seem right. But teachers, I'm not bashing on teachers. The teachers I had, the majority of them were lazy in the fact that, okay, here's somebody that's not getting it. The whole class gets it. Let's just send them off to the special ed classes, which did not make me feel any better because essentially they were sending me to classes with the special needs kids. And, these were people with severe learning disabilities outside of, just not being able to read real good or spill out words or do math real good. I mean, full-on autism, Down syndrome, special needs. They were. I wasn't that, but I got thrown into that group, and so, all my friends, and this is such a sad thing to say, and I'm going to say it anyways because this show is about honesty. So, my friends in school that were outside school were actually really mean to me and said horrible things about me. And I got called the R word. We'll just say it, retarded. I got called retarded all the time by my friends. These were people that were supposed to be there for me. But they'd be nice to me if I was at, we were at church, because there's no like social stigma. Oh, if you talk to Daniel because, none of the cool kids are around. But, when you're in school, you're like, hey, friend, I'm not going to say names. Hey, friend. And they'd be like, is that retarded kid again? And, oh, there he goes. Going down there with the retarded kids. And it's like you start to internalize that. You're like, is there something wrong with me? Am I actually, no, I can't. There's something wrong with me. I know there's something wrong up there, but, when it comes to words. But, and so teachers just kept pushing it to the side, like, whatever. You're lazy. Retarded, lazy. I mean, it was just the same thing. And after a while, it's like, ugh, I get it. And, get to high school, same thing. You know, the nickname they gave me, and this is a horrible nickname as well. They called me Peppy. You know, like, oh, that sounds great, Peppy. That's a great, you know, fun name. It's because you have a peppy attitude. No, where we had the special needs kids. It was called the PEP program, PEP, Progressive Education Program. So it was for special needs kids. So, Daniel hangs out with them because, you know, he's kind of, yeah, we're just going to call you Peppy now. Oh, great, thanks. We're better being called Fag. Nope, still called that. So that was cool for me. I was tormented day in and day out. Because of that, I internalized it, and I got anxious. So I did not want to draw attention to me. And it's funny enough that I chose drums as my thing, because that draws a lot of attention to yourself by its nature. It's loud, it's aggressive, it's in your face, you know, it's the thing people notice. But I felt at home behind the kit. I was not that guy. I got lost behind the kit. That's why I always liked a big kit. Several reasons on my drummers. The drummers I loved had big kits, but I was not seen. There was a bunch of stuff around me that blocked the vision. So that was my happy place. And being a drummer, and, you know, I grew up in a smallish, biggish, you know, it's a mid-sized town. It's bigger now, but growing up it was, it'd be a mid-sized town. You get known for being a drummer, so, you know, it was cool. People, you know, were more nicer to me once they found out I played drums, because there's always a motive. That's the other thing. I always try to figure people out, because I was taught this being by my family. It's probably a good thing, is always be wary of people who come to you wanting something, because there's always what's in it for them. What do they want from you? Versus, hey, they just need my help. No, they want your help because they, you know, XYZ. Most times because of a drummer. So, graduate high school, and before I graduated, there was 3 traumatic events for me. The first was 9/11. Happened my senior year. You know, caught the whole world off guard, and I didn't know what this meant for me, because I was about to turn 18. War seemed inevitable. Am I going to be dragged into this? And so I was freaking out about that. I worked with people who are from Middle Eastern descent. I have a little percentage of Middle Eastern in myself as well. And just to see the downright viciousness of people, and how before 9/11, the guys I worked with at Subway, they were just Max. That was Max, and that was, Amir. That was it. They were just people. After 9/11, 180. Oh, what's up, terrorist? You gonna put anthrax in my sub? Don't put that salt. I know that's anthrax. And so, I got lumped into it because I worked with them, and, it's like, really, dude? You're okay, whatever. So that was a culture shock to me, seeing the viciousness of people and how they act toward people who are different. But I understood it, because that's how I felt all the time. And so a week after that, someone who was a big music mentor to me, he was the worship leader at our church. His name was Bo Wiggins, had a fantastic voice. Unexpectedly passed away from a mosquito bite and had some weird virus that went to his brain, and it killed him in like a week. Huge hit. Probably, not to compare, but 9/11 seemed like, this is not as Bo passing away. That's a big deal, because that affected me, and he was such an influence on me, and also as a advocate for me, because being a drummer, you, especially when you're young, you want to play fast, when you want to play loud, and a lot of people are like, ugh, Daniel wants his loud drums and playing, he's not going to be a good drummer. And he's like, no, I see potential. Just give him time. He's young. What do you want him to be? A jazz drummer when he's like 13? Just calm down. So he really went to bat for me many times, and got me into, the worship band, which was a big deal at the time. And so to have him taking away so unexpectedly was like, ugh, another gut punch. And then after that, the week after that, as if things weren't already horrible enough, then our youth pastor, who was our youth pastor for a long time, really cool guy, laid back, also went to bat for me as a drummer, he didn't lay the guilt on. I'm a very guilty person by nature, maybe because of my anxiety. It makes me feel like my guilt comes from my anxiety. So he was really supportive, and he was pretty much forced out of the church because, oh, you're not getting enough numbers from church, blah, 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 all that horse crap. And it's like, oh, come on, dude, this is like, what else could happen, and so luckily nothing happened for a little bit. So graduate high school, I graduate in the very bottom of my class. Like, there's 300 people that graduated. I was like 295, maybe lower. Who knows? I didn't really keep up because I didn't care. Because everybody knew, Daniel's not going to go to college. He's not going to amount to anything. He's weird. He's just weird. I don't know. Is he retarded? I don't know. I think he's a fag. Anyway, so I had all this coming at me all the time. Bam, 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 bam. And I put up with it. I don't know why I put up with it. I never really lashed out. I just kind of was like, I guess this is my life. So graduated, everyone's like, well, you gotta go to college because you can't get a good job if you don't go to college. Bullshit. That is not true whatsoever. You can get a job. You don't have to go to college. That's one of my biggest regrets is I went to college because it's such a waste of time. I'm a person who should have been put into the workforce very early. I should have had some type of apprentice kind of thing. But at that point, everybody thought it was dumb. So they were like, who cares? But you're like, you got to go to college. You're dumb, but you got to go to college. So I'm like, what do I do? And so went to college, and then, I did the fall semester, and then probably the biggest hit, and it was my grandfather passed away. I was really close to my grandfather. We had fun. We would go and chase tornadoes and blah, blah, blah. But, the older I got and the older he got, we grew apart. We were still close. I'd see him each week because wherever we moved to around town or out of town, they would come with us because they wanted to be close to their grandchildren because they didn't have any other ones except, I think, one. But, it was... Anyways, not the time. So... But we grew apart. He was a little racist. Let's just call it what it is. And, some of his attitudes toward, especially black people, he had a problem. I don't know if it was just his upbringing, his age, whatever it was. But, he was racist toward black people, and it bothered me. So I say this in the context of how things went. So, him passing away at that time in my life was probably a good thing because I was still trying to figure out myself. Where do I belong in this world? What do I do? And some of the decisions I made later, he would have not approved of. And if he was still there, I don't know if I would have made those decisions at all. It would have been very hard. So I look back on it, and I'm like, yes, I hated that I lost my grandfather. But there's a bigger meaning to all this, and so I went to school. I had pretty much failed every class but history, and this is 2003. This is the spring semester, and I'm like, what do I do? And then, like, all of a sudden the Iraq War starts happening, and this is how sad things was I knew back in 2003 this was a horrible idea. We should not do this. This is going to get people I know killed. And it did. So that was my turning point. And like I said, my grandfather, after 9/11, he's like, let's go get them. And I'm like, worried. We're not going after the right people. I don't really feel comfortable with this war stuff. I'm anti-violence, and so, yeah, and that's when the depression hit. Like, I started having these crazy sleepwalking problems. Like, I would walk into walls, I'd walk into, bump into windows, furniture, these violent, like, almost like seizure-like, I don't know, it felt like I was out of body. Like, I knew I was doing it, I just couldn't stop. And so I got super self-conscious about that. And so depression, that's when it happened. That's when it, like, just came on full board. And I, tried to push it aside. I was like, oh, I'll just keep doing my thing. And I had screwed up so many friendships over my being the church I went to was very judgmental. The people that I was told I had to be friends with were the worst type of people, and the people I wanted to be friends with was like, no, you can't, because they're bad people. Like, no, they're fine. I mean, yeah, one's Catholic, one's, from up north. I'm not really seeing the connection here, but okay, and so I had these great friends that were supportive. They didn't make fun of me. But no, I wanted to fit in with the cool kids, and so I'm like, nah, yeah, you guys are stupid. I don't like you either. I'm going to take the abuse. Don't worry. I'll be all right. So took the abuse. And so finally I just kind of like, all right, I'm done. I'm out. I cannot do this anymore. And this was 2005. I'm like, I want new friends. I want a girlfriend. I had never really had a long-term girlfriend. I had one that lasted a couple of months, nothing super serious. I'm like, screw it. I'm done. I am done trying to appease all these dickheads and peckerheads over there. I want to be, liberated. I wanted to, and so I kind of like, I was jamming out with these guys. We all were great friends. Never, like I said, they never made fun of me. And so 2005 was a great year because that's the year I found out I was dyslexic. 18 years too late when I'm 22. And so that was like, oh, well, here, this makes a lot of sense. And then I met my wife, which then, she was not my wife, but that's pretty obvious. So we started dating, and that was great. We dated for almost 2 years before we got married. We got engaged for a year, and then waited a whole year to get married. So, and I think that's the best way. You don't know somebody, and, you don't know somebody till you live with them for a little bit before you're married. Just saying that. I'm going to leave that there. It's just a piece of advice I have, and I think it's a good one. So, anyways, so we get married, and my depression at that point was pretty non-existent or very manageable. My sleepwalking was okay. It wasn't as bad. So, fast forward to 2009. That's when I found out I was going to be a father for the first time. I'm excited. This is cool. This is a new part of our life. Let's do this. And I went to those stupid ass birthing classes, and holy crap, that screwed me up. I went in like, oh, I think I can do this, to like, oh, I can't do this. This is scaring me. And they scared you so much what can go wrong during the pregnancy and during the delivery. And it freaked me out. I could not. I'm like, oh my God, my wife's going to die. My kid's going to die. I'm like, what do I do? And, they scared me. And it's like, one, don't do that. Second, there's other ways to present this information instead of it just being like full force in your face, like everything's horrible. And nonetheless, I'm like, all right, well, if we're going to do this, we're not taking these stupid-ass classes. I'm going to tell you that for much, because I can't do it. I cannot do it. So we dropped the classes, and at that point, there was some hostility within my family about who's going to be in the room, who's not, and blah, blah, blah. Long story short, some people's feelings got hurt that I'm like, okay, really, the focus right now is my wife and my child. That's what the focus is. Okay, so there was that. It caused some strain between my wife and I because it's like, how do you balance that tightrope? It's like, I hate when people throw you into situations you cannot, there's no fix, because any way you try to fix it, you're screwed. It's like, what do I do? So I'm like, all right, well, this sucks. So then the depression just like really came at me like a freight train. And for a couple of reasons. Everyone says that women can always have the possibility of having postpartum depression. You got to watch out for that. This is true. But no one talks about the postpartum depression that the husband or the man can get after the pregnancy. It's very real, and I will advocate this to the day I die, that no one cares about the dad. And this is not me being selfish. This is just reality. There's so much emphasis on the baby, on the mom. And then that's it. The focus is completely on them. Shut up. Go do your job. And if we need you, we'll get you. So I'm like, oh, this is weird. Because I went from being, I had, someone in my life they liked me. They said positive things about me, because I didn't get a lot of that growing up. It's hit or miss. Just leave it at that. But this person went from, being a big fan to pretty much just like, okay, we're done. We're moving on to the baby and Melanie. And so there'd be conversations. I'd hear this, oh, well, since everyone in his family on the mom side is tall, he's going to be an athlete. And, I'm like, well, what if he's into music? No, he won't be into music. Sure. So, I don't like sports. I tolerate them. My kids do some sports, but my biggest fear as a parent was not being able to relate to my own child. So to hear this constantly, it was a constant conversation wherever we went about how my son is going to be a, athlete, and that he's not going to care about, music or drums or anything that you like. It's just going to be about sports. What is clicking? So weird. Anyways, so I'm like, so I felt discouraged. I'm like, oh, great. Now I have this kid that's not going to like me. It's all he's going to care about is sports. And where's the relationship going to, I looked for, the biggest thing I looked forward to was being able to share some of the things I love. Not all of it, but some of it. I wanted to share some of the stuff I love with my child. So to hear that this may not be a possibility, even though I know now, yeah, you can share them, and yeah, they're going to like some of the stuff you like, which is great. But to hear it when you're a new dad, it's devastating. It's absolutely devastating. It's like it just like was someone punched me in the heart, just like again. And so 2010 is a complete blur. Like, I remember 3 or 4 things. I remember, of course, my son being born. I remember we went out west, and then I remember a little bit of Christmas. And that's it. The rest of it is complete blank to me. My depression and my anxiety were so intense that it literally erased that part of my life out of my head. And my relationship with my wife was deteriorating. I was stressed out because I didn't know, okay, oh crap, I'm not making enough money for this kid. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I can't figure this out. And I was stressing out about trying to find a new job that paid some more money so I could support my family. That was stressing on me. And so, then the sleepwalking just wasn't I looked like a zombie, just running into things. And so I finally went to my doctor and said, I think I have depression. And they're like, let's talk. And I got on some medicine. I got on some sleep medicine. Now it's, for the most part, controlled. I can function. I can sleep without thrashing about, and I pushed my wife out of bed a couple of times, kicked her in my sleep. I don't do any of that now. So it's a great, thing to be liberated. But it took a long time to admit that I had that problem, that I was, when people talk about depression, they think, oh, it's about sadness. It's about being, just internally sad. And it's not. It's based on guilt. My guilt makes me depressed and it makes me anxious. My guilt is something I cannot get out of my head. I have the guilt of always, I'm not doing this well enough. I'm not being this good enough. I am not performing this good enough. And everything I do in my life is not good enough. That's what I feel internally all the time. Is my head tells me, you suck, you suck, you suck. That's what I hear. And then to have people around you who say, you suck, you're retarded, I don't like you, I hate you, blah, blah, blah. You're like, oh. And you come to a breaking point where you literally, you're a mess. You can't function, you can't talk, you're just like, you shut the world out. You just completely, you cut it out. And which is not good, because then you're left with that voice in your head again saying, you suck, you suck, you suck, Daniel. And you're like, okay, I get it, chill the hell out. And so I couldn't let that go. So fast forward back to 2014 when I started the show. I was having all those feelings, plus not being able to play drums. So I was an emotional mess. And so that's how this show came about. It came about out of tragedy, out of depression, out of sadness, that like a phoenix, it arose out of the ashes and pulled me along with it, and was I felt like, okay, here is my place in this world, and here's what I can do to make my life better. And there's been so many awesome moments in doing this show, talking to drummers I would have never thought in a million years I would have been able to talk to. Working with companies to do giveaways that, in my mind, have no business talking to me. But now, after taking this break, you know what? I'm like, damn it, I'm going to own this show. I'm going to own it. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be open. I'm going to talk about what the real things that affect drummers. I want to talk to as many people as I can. I want to make this about, family, especially with bringing my wife and my kids in. My son is interested in drums. My youngest son, who's 7 or 8 months old, loves it when I play drums. And I'm like, this is such a great moment. And I'm embracing that moment. I want to seize it. I want to carpe diem it. I want to seize the day. I want to enjoy it. And I want to be proud of it. And I'm not going to listen to that internal voice in my head telling me I suck. I'm going to take that and tell you, no, I do not suck. Brain molecules in my head that are firing, that telling me that I suck. No. You are a drummer. Enjoy it. Embrace it. Love it. Be, and try your best. And that's what I try to tell not only my kids, but also my employees. No one's perfect. And anyone who tells you that, they're lying. It's not about being perfect. It's about being human in the moment and learning from mistakes, learning from our past, and embracing who we are as musicians, drummers, fathers, husbands, employees, and whatever. We embrace it. We are part of that. We just embrace it all, and we try to do our best. We don't try to fake it. We don't try to half-ass it. We just do our best. And I see so many drummers these days who their whole obsession is, I want to make it big. I just want to make it big. And they're missing the bigger point. I did not want to be big. This is going back to my anxiety. When you get big, there's more responsibilities, and all that. But also, just focus on being a drummer. And success will find you. It's not about, I've got to get big on Instagram. I got to get big on YouTube. when you see these people that are on YouTube, all these YouTube drummers, you see all these people on Instagram who've got these giant followings, there's a couple of things. For one, they own what they're doing. If it's being a YouTube drummer, if it's being an Instagram drummer, if it's a teacher, they own it. They just flat out make it part of who they are. They embrace it. And that's what I'm trying to, that's what I want to convince everybody. Embrace who you are. Don't let the shiny object of being successful be your end goal. Because once you get there, what's going to happen after that? The end goal for this show, there is no end goal. The end goal is to just be in the moment. Because, yeah, I have ambitions and stuff like that. That's great. But if I'm not living in the moment right now, then it's all going to be wasted later because it's part of the process. I've always talked about that. I'm a person of process. I love, every night before I go to bed with my kids, I love to watch YouTube videos of how things are made. Whether it's ice cream, steel wool, titanium, how they make an airplane. And I'm a fan of that because I like to see each individual part that goes into making this bigger thing. And that's how this show is. There's several different things that go on with this show. It's not just about one thing. It's about all these other small parts coming together and creating something bigger. And that's the point. And that's what I always try to convince people. What you might think, what you're doing right now may seem incidental. It may seem like it's not worth your time, but it is. Because if you put the effort into it, you're going to be rewarded. And after talking about why we talk about this a lot, it's like, instead of just wishing it, make it happen. Because sitting back and just waiting, no one's coming up to me and hey Daniel, oh hey, what's up? Hey Zildjian, how are you? Hey, good. You want to be famous for no reason and feel like you've done it for nothing? When you say it that way, it sounds kind of lame. So, yeah, I'm not waiting for Sabian. I'm not waiting for Tama. I'm not waiting for whoever to come to me. I'm going to go to them. I'm going to go to them and say, this is what we're doing. If you're behind it, that's great. If you're not, I'm not going to be bitter. I'm going to be like, all right, well, if you change your mind, just let me know. That's what it's about. It's about just trying to do it. Don't try to pretend that success is just going to come to you if you put up one video and that's it. It's about consistency. It's about, almost to the point I wouldn't want to say that you're, being a pest, but a lot of these drummers I've followed on Instagram, they have the same thing. They're consistent. They reach out to multiple people, like, hey, check this out. What do you think? And I like when people actually ask if, to be honest, when someone sends me a video, most of the time it's like, hey, can you repost this? Want to make my following bigger. And I usually don't reply to that because you're just telling me, oh, well, I just want to use your platform to get big. Well, that's great. But is that the only thing? Or like, hey, can you check out this video? Let me know if it's good or not. Is there something I can do different? Or sell yourself. Look for criticism and look for, constructive criticism. And I think once this generation of drummers learns it's not about how fast you can play, how great you're at shredding drums, or how fast you're doing double kick or blast beats, or it's, no one is focusing on just playing drums and just having fun. I'll put up videos and I'll get a couple of comments and people are like, oh, this is kind of lame. Okay, thanks for the not criticism, but it may sound lame to you, but it's what I want to play as a drummer. And I'm not going to pretend to play styles of music or do things that are not out of my nature, but that's what it is. So the point I'm just trying to make is, with depression, if you have it, learn how to not only cope, but how to thrive. And I was just listening to a song today because I had to go to work, and I was kind of bummed out because I'm like, I had so many plans for how I was going to do I was going to do some reviews. I had some time to myself. Nope. Oh, you got to go 2 hours away for work. Great. So I was listening to to music on my phone, and it was a Switchfoot song called "Thrive," and it's I'm gonna not sing it. I'm just gonna say the words. It's it's something about fighting demons, but I don't want to survive. I want to thrive. And the takeaway from that was, yes, I do want to survive. I don't want to just survive life. I want to thrive in it. I want to be more than just. Yeah, that's not the end goal. I don't want to just squeak by my whole life. I actually want to enjoy my life. I want to enjoy being with my family. I want to enjoy being with my kids. I want to enjoy being a drummer at this moment in time and thrive with it, and not just like, whew, I barely missed that. That was a close one. No, that's not the right reference. It's not the way you should look at things. And so that's going to be the theme of this show is I'm going to thrive. I'm going to thrive in what I'm doing as a drummer. I don't want to just halfway do things. I want to be the best drummer I can be and be happy with that. Because I know the other thing I've realized is you've got to get over the fact, okay, let's take Stan Bricknell for a moment. That dude is crazy. His single bass drum beats sound like they're double bass beats, and they're super complicated, super hard, and he makes it look so easy. And I see all these drummers who are trying to mimic him, and it's like, no, we already got Stan. We've got Stan Bricknell. That's what he does. I want to watch him. I don't want to watch 15 other drummers halfway do what he's doing. I'd rather see 15 drummers doing something they want to do. And that's what it's all about. It's about finding that middle ground, finding that place where you're comfortable with who you are as a musician and knowing your limits. I know I maybe if I practice every day, all day, I could maybe do some of the stuff that Stan does, but I'm not gonna be a pissant and just cry about it all day. Oh, I can't play single bass drum as quick as him. What good is that doing me? It's not doing me any good. I would rather just practice and get good at my level, because we're all at different levels. It's not about we got to all be like Stan, or we all got to be like Cobus, or we got to all be like fill in the blank, Jessica Bardot. All these great drummers, and you don't see their beginnings. A lot of times people catch on these people when they're at their highlight of their playing. I've followed several of these drummers over the years, and it's been a slow but ever climbing, like a roller coaster. It starts off low and it gets to the top. And then sometimes it keeps going and going, and then it may lull a little bit, but it's, you don't see all the effort that's going into some of this stuff. It's, you're just like, oh, well, that video was cool. All right. Okay, we're done. Oh, there's another video. It's like, oh, no, you don't see all the work. You don't all see the frustration sometimes. You don't see the outtakes where they had to play this over to get it right. So that's what I want to talk about is my depression, what I've done to manage with it and to cope with it. And, funny enough, my oldest son is named Copeland. We named him after Stuart Copeland, but we call him Cope, or we call him Copey. And I think it was such a fitting word because when that happened, when he was born, 6 months later, my wife's brother passed away unexpectedly. Of just a bad situation, and left my wife's side of the family completely devastated, and it affected me too. I couldn't vocalize it, and I knew my wife was struggling, I was struggling with it, and I wasn't talking to her, but at that time we were calling our son Copey for short, because we were coping, and I think it was such a fitting word now when you look back at it. That's what he was doing. He was helping us cope with this, I think if Melanie's brother had passed away with no kids, there would have been more focus on the sadness of losing him. But we had our son Copeland there to cope with this, because he's a baby. He requires a lot of attention, and sometimes when you have that attention onto something else, you don't have a lot of time to focus on the bad stuff. And the other thing that really made me sad was, I had worked, and I still work with, for 11 years, I've worked in a medical supply company that, the majority of our patients are some type of special needs or severe special needs, ventilator, they can't breathe. And we had a patient who was born the same day as my son, but he was so bad off. I mean, he was a boy, but he was not born with his cash and goods. He had a hole there, and he was just this freak disease that ravaged his body, and it was so sad to see. And it, like, when I saw him, I saw my son, and I'm like, oh my God, what would I do in this situation? And I would leave this patient's house in just tears. I was just uncontrollably, I would sob in my van because it was so sad. It was so heart-wrenching to see this baby in the condition it was, and I just could not think, I'm like, oh God, that could be my son. Oh my God, oh God. And it destroyed me. I could not. So I literally, I'm like, all right, you guys are gonna have to take me off this route, because it is literally killing me inside. I can't focus. I'm sad. I just don't know. So, like again, I don't want to make this is kind of like I would say a downer podcast. I'm sorry, but I just wanted to tell you where I am at this moment in time. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling motivated. I am so happy that my wife is helping me with this. I can't tell you how fun it is to have her have these conversations, because she knows about drums because of just being around me. And so she's like, oh, hey, cool, we got a message from this person. I'm like, what? Are you serious? And so she's just like, bam, bam, bam. All this cool stuff is happening, and this time is awesome. I'm enjoying it. I'm loving this time, and I feel like I'm at the moment now where I can really focus on talking to people again. And I might do this. I might come out for 30 minutes once a week and just talk about a topic by myself and see how it goes. So anyways, thank you guys for everything. Thank you for liking the show. Thank you for following us on Instagram, hitting that 70,000 follower goal, which is crazy. So if you want to be part of that raffle, you can go to, let me bring it up. You can go to our PayPal. So the PayPal is www.paypal.me/thedrumheadspod. So the link will be in the description of this show. But again, thank you for the patience when I try to figure out how to incorporate the podcast back into the show and all that. So again, thank you to everybody. Thank you for your support. I'm looking forward to doing more of this, and I want to motivate people. I feel like this uncontrollable urge just to talk and just tell people, that they're doing good, what things they can do to make things better for them. I want to be, a motivator. I want to motivate people, because I didn't get a lot of that, and I feel like if I don't, I'm wasting my abilities keeping it to myself. So I want to motivate people. I want to be there for people. So thank you for everybody who's been there for me and who's motivated me. So again, thank you to everybody for listening. I'll be back again here soon, and till then, I don't know what to sign off with. I need to find something, and it's got to be good. Maybe you guys can let me know. So think about it, and we'll get back. See ya.